The morning alarm rang loud across the Galactic Defense Academy. Park Jimin opened his eyes and looked up at the metal ceiling above his bed. 3 moons hung in the dark sky outside his small window. This place was nothing like Earth. Jimin sat up and stretched his arms. His roommate Lee Hyuna was already getting dressed in her gray academy uniform. She was from Seoul just like him, but they rarely talked about home. It made them both sad. "Another day of training," Hyuna said as she tied her black hair back. "I wonder what Commander Keltar will make us do today." Jimin made a face. Commander Keltar was their main instructor. He was a Vorthak, one of the big lizard-like aliens who ran most of the academy. Keltar stood nearly 8 feet tall and had thick green scales covering his body. His yellow eyes always seemed angry, especially when he looked at the human cadets. "Probably more combat drills," Jimin said as he put on his uniform. "He loves watching us get beaten up by the bigger aliens." The academy was built inside a huge dome on Kepler 7, a small moon that belonged to no one. Students came here from dozens of different worlds to learn how to fight together in the United Worlds fleet. Humans had only been part of this group for 3 years. Most aliens still thought they were too weak and small to be real soldiers. Jimin and Hyuna walked through the long metal halls toward the eating area. Other cadets moved around them. The tall, blue-skinned Andromedans floated a few inches off the ground as they walked. The Zilithians looked like walking crystals that caught the light. The Korvachi had fur and walked on 4 legs like giant cats, but it was the Vorthak who really controlled everything. They were the strongest and had been in space the longest. Their empire had ruled most of the galaxy for hundreds of years. At the academy, what they said was law. In the eating hall, Jimin got his food from the machine. It was supposed to taste like Korean rice, but it was not very good. He sat at a table with other human cadets. There were only 12 humans at the whole academy. Kim Taehyung sat down next to him. Taehyung was older and had been at the academy for 2 years. "I heard we're doing team exercises today," he said. "With mixed groups?" asked Choyuna, a girl from Busan. "Yes. Humans, Vorthak, Zilithians, and Andromedans all together," Taehyung said. "Commander Keltar's in charge." Jimin's stomach felt tight. Team exercises with Keltar always went badly for humans. The commander liked to show everyone how weak humans were compared to other species. After eating, all the cadets went to the big training room. It was as large as a football field with high walls and bright lights. Weapon racks lined the walls and thick mats covered the floor. Commander Keltar stood in the center of the room. His green scales caught the light as he moved. 2 rows of sharp teeth showed when he spoke. "Today you will work in teams," Keltar said in his deep voice. "Each team has 1 member from 4 different species. You will practice combat skills and teamwork." He began calling out names. Team 7, Cadet Jimin, Cadet Mordan, Cadet Kiksara, and Cadet Zilneth. Jimin walked over to his team. Mordan was a young Vorthak, smaller than Keltar but still much bigger than Jimin. His scales were darker green and his eyes were orange instead of yellow. Kiksara was a Zilithian who looked like she was made of purple crystal. Zilneth was an Andromedan with pale blue skin and large black eyes. "Listen carefully," Keltar said to all the teams. "You will practice fighting as a unit. Each species has strengths. Vorthak are strong and tough. Zilithians are fast and can see in all directions. Andromedans can fly and use mind powers. Humans—" He paused and looked right at Jimin. "Humans are small and weak, but maybe they can carry supplies." Some of the alien cadets laughed. Jimin felt his face get hot, but he said nothing. The exercise began. Each team had to work together to get through different challenges. They had to climb walls, fight practice robots, and solve puzzles. But Keltar had designed everything for the bigger, stronger aliens. Jimin's team struggled. The walls were too high for him to reach the handholds. The practice weapons were too heavy for human hands. When they fought the robots, Jimin could barely do any damage while Mordan could break them with 1 hit. "This is not working," Kiksara said after their 3rd failed attempt. "The human is too slow." "Maybe he should just watch," Mordan said. He did not sound mean, just practical. But Jimin had an idea. "What if we try a different way?" he said. "Instead of everyone doing the same thing, what if each person does what they're best at?" "Explain," Zilneth said in his soft voice. "Mordan is strongest, so he fights the big robots. Kiksara is fastest, so she handles the moving targets. Zilneth can fly, so he gets the high objects. And what can you do?" Mordan asked. Jimin thought about all the military history he had studied back on Earth. I can plan. I can figure out how all the pieces work together. For the next challenge, they tried Jimin's approach. Instead of everyone attacking the same robot, Jimin told each team member exactly when and where to move. Morden hit the robot from the front while Kixara attacked its legs. Zilneth flew above and dropped rocks on its head while Jimin found its weak spots and called out targets. It worked. They completed the challenge faster than any other team, but Commander Keltar was not happy. He walked over to Team 7 with heavy steps. His yellow eyes were angry. What was that? He demanded. Sir, we completed the exercise, Jimin said. That was not proper Vorthak combat technique, Keltar said. In real battle, you fight with strength and honor. You do not hide and give orders like a coward. But it worked, Jimin said. We finished first. Because you made the others do the real fighting while you stayed safe, Keltar said. This is why humans do not belong in combat roles. You are weak and try to hide your weakness with tricks. Jimin felt anger growing in his chest. It's not a trick. It's tactics, using everyone's strengths to work together. Silence. Keltar roared. You will not question Vorthak methods. For thousands of years we have conquered enemies through superior strength and courage. We do not need lessons from primitive humans who only learned to fly between stars 3 years ago. The whole room had gone quiet. Every cadet was watching. Jimin knew he should stop talking, but the words came out anyway. Maybe that's why it took you thousands of years to build your empire. Humans went from first flight to space travel in just 60 years because we learned to think differently. The silence became complete. Even the air system seemed to stop humming. Commander Keltar's yellow eyes grew very wide, and his scaled hands slowly formed fists. Nobody had ever spoken to a Vorthak commander like that. Especially not a human. The training room was so quiet that Jimin could hear his own heartbeat. Commander Keltar stood frozen, his yellow eyes staring down at the small human cadet. His scaled hands slowly opened and closed into fists. Every alien cadet in the room watched and waited. They had never seen anyone talk back to a Vorthak commander. In their cultures, when a superior showed anger, you were supposed to back down and apologize. But Jimin did not apologize. He stood straight and met Keltar's angry stare. His hands shook a little, but he did not look away. What did you say? Keltar asked in a voice like rolling thunder. I said maybe humans think differently, Jimin repeated. That's why we learned so fast. Morden, the young Vorthak on Jimin's team, stepped back. His orange eyes were wide with shock. Jimin, stop, he whispered. You don't know what you're doing. But Jimin kept talking. Your way isn't the only way. Just because something is old doesn't mean it's the best. Keltar took a step closer. He was so tall that Jimin had to look up to see his face. Foolish human. You know nothing of war or strength. Your species has been in space for only 3 years. We have ruled the galaxy for 3,000. And in those 3,000 years, how many times did your empire almost fall apart because you couldn't adapt to new threats? Jimin asked. The other human cadets looked terrified. Kim Taehyung moved toward Jimin like he wanted to pull him away. Choi Yuna covered her mouth with her hands. You dare question the Vorthak Empire? Keltar's voice was getting louder. Your pathetic world was still hitting rocks together when we were building starships. Maybe, Jimin said. But when the Andromedan plague almost destroyed your food supplies 50 years ago, who figured out how to stop it? The Zilithian scientists. When the Korvachi rebellion lasted for 10 years, who finally made peace? The Andromedan diplomats. Every time you had a problem you couldn't punch, you needed help from someone else. Keltar's whole body began to shake with rage. The scales on his arms stood up like the fur on an angry cat. How dare you speak of our history, human whelp? I study history, Jimin said, his voice getting stronger. All history, not just the parts that make my people look good. That's how you learn and get better. Jimin, please stop, Hyuna whispered from across the room. But Commander Keltar had heard enough. You think you are clever with your words in your books, he said. But words mean nothing. Only strength matters. Only power. He raised his right hand high above his head. His scaled fingers were as thick as tree branches and his claws caught the bright lights. Every cadet in the room knew what was coming. In Vorthak culture, Keltar said, when a youngling shows disrespect, they must be taught their place. The hand came down fast and hard. It hit Jimin across the left side of his face with a sound like a wooden board breaking. The force of the blow lifted Jimin off his feet and sent him flying backward. He hit the mat hard and rolled twice before stopping. Blood ran from a cut on his lip where Keltar's claws had scratched him. The left side of his face was already turning red and starting to swell. All the alien cadets waited for what came next. In their worlds, when a superior hit you, you stayed down. You showed that you understood your place. You apologized and promised to do better. Mordan nodded like he approved. Good. Now the human knows not to speak against his betters. Kixura's crystal body flashed different colors, which meant she was thinking hard. Perhaps this will teach all humans to show proper respect. Zilnith floated a few inches off the ground, his large black eyes sad, but not surprised. In Andromedan culture, violence was wrong, but they never fought back when stronger species hurt them. The human cadets looked sick and angry, but they also expected Jimin to stay down. That's what they had been taught to do at the academy. Don't fight back against the aliens. Don't make trouble. Try to fit in and maybe they would accept humans someday. Kim Tae-hyung started to move toward Jimin to help him up, but Commander Keltar held up a hand to stop him. Leave him, Keltar commanded. He must learn to stand on his own or admit he is too weak. For a long moment, Jimin lay on the mat without moving. Blood dripped from his lip onto the gray material. His head hurt, and his left ear was ringing from the hit. Then, slowly, he put his hands on the mat and pushed himself up. The aliens watched in confusion as Jimin got to his knees, then to his feet. He wiped the blood from his mouth with the back of his hand and stood straight. His dark eyes were not afraid anymore. They burned with something the aliens had never seen in a human before, something that made even Commander Keltar take a small step back. Is that it? Jimin asked quietly. What? Keltar said. Is that all you've got? Jimin said louder. One hit and you think I'm going to crawl away? The room erupted in shocked whispers. Morden's mouth fell open. Kixara's crystal body turned bright red with surprise. Even calm Zilnith dropped down to the floor instead of floating. You should stay down, human, Keltar said, but his voice was not as confident as before. Why? Jimin asked. Because you're bigger than me? Because your people have been in space longer? Because you think might makes right? He took a step toward the huge commander, then another. You know what I learned from studying your history? Jimin said. Every time your empire faced something new, something you didn't understand, you tried to beat it into submission. And sometimes that worked, but sometimes it didn't. Keltar's claws came out. Stop talking and submit or I will hit you again. Go ahead, Jimin said. Hit me again. Keep hitting me, but I'll keep getting back up because that's what humans do. We don't stay down. The commander raised his hand again, but this time he hesitated. Something in Jimin's eyes made him pause. You want to know why humans learn to travel between stars so fast? Jimin asked. It's not because we're smarter than you. It's because we never give up. When something beats us down, we get back up and try again. We learn from our mistakes. We adapt. He pointed at Keltar with a finger that shook with anger, not fear. Your empire is 3,000 years old, but it's also 3,000 years stuck in the past. You do the same things the same way because they worked before. But the galaxy is changing and you can't change with it. Enough, Keltar roared. I will not listen to more insults from a weak human child. Then don't listen, Jimin said. Fight me. The words hung in the air like smoke. Every cadet in the room stopped breathing. According to Academy Regulation 847C, Jimin said clearly, any cadet who is physically struck by an instructor without just cause may demand single combat to restore their honor. Commander Keltar's yellow eyes went very wide. You cannot be serious. I am completely serious, Jimin said. I challenge you to single combat, Commander Keltar. One-on-one, no weapons. Just you and me. The alien cadets began talking all at once. Some laughed. Others looked scared. A few seemed excited to see what would happen, but none of them could believe what they had just heard. A human cadet barely 19 years old and weighing less than most alien children had just challenged a Vorthak commander to personal combat. It was impossible. It was insane. It was also completely legal under Academy rules. News of the challenge spread through the Academy like fire. Within an hour, every cadet and instructor knew that a human had challenged Commander Keltar to single combat. Most thought it was a joke. Some thought Jimin had lost his mind. Admiral Thexion called Jimin to his office immediately. The Admiral was a crystalline, a species that looked like living diamonds. His body caught and reflected light in beautiful patterns, but his voice was serious. Cadet Park, Admiral Thexion said. Do you understand what you have done? Jimin stood at attention in front of the Admiral's desk. His face still hurt from Keltar's hit, and his lip had swollen bigger. "Yes, sir. I invoked Regulation 847C. That regulation exists to prevent abuse," the Admiral said. "It was never meant for a situation like this. Commander Keltar is twice your size and has 20 years of combat experience." "I understand that, sir." Admiral Thexion's crystal body flashed different colors as he thought. "Jim and I can find a way to cancel this fight. I can say the challenge was made in anger and doesn't count. No one would blame you." "With respect, sir," Jimin said, "I don't want to cancel it. Why not? This isn't a game, Cadet. Keltar could seriously hurt you. He might even kill you by accident." Jimin was quiet for a moment. "Sir, every day the alien cadets look at us humans like we're children playing soldier. They think we're too weak to fight beside them. Maybe some of them are right. And you think fighting Keltar will change their minds?" "I think it will show them something about humans they don't know yet," Jimin said. The Admiral sighed, a sound like wind through crystal caves. "Very well. But understand this. The fight will be broadcast live to all the major worlds, including Earth. Your family will see what happens." That made Jimin pause. He thought about his parents in Seoul, watching their son fight a giant alien warrior. "I understand, sir. The combat will take place tomorrow at 1400 hours in the main gymnasium. Standard Academy rules: no weapons, fight until submission or unconsciousness. May whatever gods you believe in help you, Cadet." When Jimin left the Admiral's office, he found all 11 other human cadets waiting for him in the hallway. Kim Tae-hyung stepped forward first. "Are you crazy?" Tae-hyung asked. "Keltar will destroy you." "Maybe," Jimin said. "But maybe not." Choi Yuna grabbed his arm. "Jimin, this isn't brave. This is stupid. You don't have to prove anything to these aliens." "Yes, I do," Jimin said quietly. "We all do. Every day we're here, we're trying to show them we belong. But we do it by being smaller, quieter, trying not to cause trouble. What if that's wrong? What if the only way to get respect is to demand it?" Song Ji-ho, a cadet from Incheon, shook his head. "Respect won't matter if you're dead." "Then help me not die," Jimin said. "You all know things I don't. Teach me." That evening, the human cadets gathered in an empty training room. They shared everything they knew about fighting, about human advantages, about the weaknesses of other species. Kang Min-ho had grown up doing taekwondo. "You're faster than him," he told Jimin. "Not much, but a little. Use that." "Hit and move," added Choi Yuna, who knew boxing. "Don't stand still and trade punches. You'll lose." Kim Tae-hyung pulled up files on his datapad. "I've been studying Vorthak anatomy. Their scales are thick, but there are soft spots under the arms, behind the knees, the throat. Dr. Yoon Seoman, the Academy's human medical officer, came to help them. She was older than the cadets and had studied many alien species. "Jimin," she said, "you need to understand something important. Humans are different from other species in ways they don't expect." "What do you mean?" Dr. Yoon brought up a hologram showing human and Vorthak bodies side by side. "Look at the muscle density, the bone structure. Vorthak are stronger, yes, but they're also heavier and slower. Their reflexes are good, but ours are better." She pointed to the human nervous system. "More importantly, humans have something most aliens don't: the ability to keep fighting when we should be unconscious. It's called second wind or adrenaline response. When we're hurt or scared, our bodies flood with chemicals that let us ignore pain and fatigue. All species have some version of that," Song Ji-ho said. "Not like humans," Dr. Yoon replied. "Most aliens evolved on worlds where being badly hurt meant death. Their bodies shut down to preserve energy for healing. But humans evolved differently. We had predators, disasters, famines. The humans who survived were the ones who could keep fighting even when everything seemed hopeless." She showed them video files from Earth's history, humans surviving in impossible conditions, fighting against overwhelming odds, refusing to give up even when logic said they should. "This is why other species don't understand us," Dr. Yoon said. "They think we're weak because we're small, but they've never faced an enemy that simply won't stop." While the humans prepared, word of the fight spread beyond the Academy. On dozens of worlds, people gathered around screens to watch. Most alien betting pools gave Jimin odds of 1,000 to 1 against winning, but some paid closer attention to Earth's databases. On the Andromedan homeworld, Professor Melthor studied human military history with growing amazement. "Look at this," he told his colleagues. "In their Second World War, humans fought for 6 years straight. In Vietnam, they fought for 20 years in jungle conditions that would kill most species in weeks. In Afghanistan, they fought for 2 decades against an enemy they could barely find. On the Zilithian research station, scientists analyzed human physiology. Their pain tolerance is extraordinary, reported Dr. Kickstal, and their psychological resilience. I've never seen anything like it. Most species break under prolonged stress. Humans seem to get stronger. The Korvachi Military Council watched old Earth documentaries about human boxing and mixed martial arts. They fight each other for sport, General Herval observed. Not to the death, but willingly accepting pain and injury for entertainment, honor. I don't understand it. Even some Vorthak were beginning to have doubts. Commander Zekmar, Keltar's superior, reviewed the challenge recording with concern. He should have stayed down, Zekmar muttered. Any reasonable being would have stayed down. Why did he get back up? In the academy dormitories, alien cadets talked late into the night. Morden sat with other young Vorthak, trying to understand what he had witnessed. It made no sense, he said. The human was clearly beaten. Commander Keltar demonstrated superior strength. The logical response was submission. Maybe humans aren't logical, suggested another Vorthak cadet. Or maybe they're logical in a different way, said Kiksara, who had been thinking about it all day. What if getting back up wasn't about the fight? What if it was about something else? Like what? I don't know, Kiksara admitted, but I want to find out. The night before the fight, Jimin sat alone in the Academy's observation deck, looking out at the stars. Earth was too far away to see, but he knew it was out there somewhere. Kim Tae-hyung found him there. Can't sleep? Not really, Jimin said. Tomorrow I fight an 8-foot-tall lizard warrior who could probably break me in half. Having second thoughts? Jimin was quiet for a long time. My grandfather fought in the Korean War, he finally said. He was 17, barely older than me. The enemy had better weapons, more soldiers, air support. But he and his unit held a hill for 3 days against impossible odds. Did they win? They lost the hill, Jimin said. But they bought time for civilians to evacuate. My grandfather always said that sometimes winning isn't about defeating the enemy. Sometimes it's about showing them what you're made of. Tae-hyung sat down beside him. And what are humans made of? Jimin smiled for the first time since the challenge. I guess we're about to find out. Tomorrow, the galaxy would learn something new about humanity. Whether Jimin won or lost, things would never be the same again. The main gymnasium was packed with more beings than it had ever held before. Cadets from every species sat in the viewing areas, while instructors and academy staff stood along the walls. Large screens showed the fight to audiences across the galaxy. Jimin walked into the combat area wearing simple gray training clothes. The fighting space was a circle of thick mats 30 feet across, surrounded by energy barriers to protect the crowd. His human friends sat together in the front row, their faces tight with worry. Commander Keltar entered from the opposite side. He wore traditional Vorthak combat gear, a sleeveless vest that showed his massive arms and thick scales. His yellow eyes locked onto Jimin as he rolled his shoulders and cracked his neck. The sound echoed through the quiet gymnasium. Admiral Thexion stood between them, his crystal body reflecting the bright lights. This is single combat under Academy Regulation 847C, he announced. No weapons, no outside assistance. The fight continues until one combatant submits or cannot continue. Are both fighters ready? Ready, Keltar said in his deep voice. Jimin nodded. Ready, begin. Keltar moved faster than Jimin expected for someone so large. He crossed the circle in 3 big steps and swung his right fist at Jimin's head. The punch would have knocked out most beings, but Jimin ducked under it and rolled to the side. The crowd gasped as Keltar's fist hit empty air. The commander spun around and threw another punch, then another. Each time Jimin barely avoided the crushing blows. Run all you want, little human, Keltar shouted. You cannot avoid me forever. He was right. The circle was only 30 feet across, and Keltar's long arms and legs covered ground quickly. On his 4th attack, the commander's backhand caught Jimin across the chest and sent him flying into the energy barrier. Jimin hit the barrier hard and fell to the mats. Pain shot through his ribs where Keltar had struck him. The alien cadets cheered, thinking the fight was already over. But Jimin rolled away just as Keltar's foot stomped down where his head had been. The mat cracked under the force of the stomp. Stay still and die with honor, Keltar roared. Instead of running this time, Jimin moved closer. He grabbed Keltar's leg and twisted hard, using a technique Kang Minho had taught him. The commander stumbled but didn't fall. Keltar reached down to grab Jimin, but the human was already moving. He slipped behind the commander and jumped onto his back, wrapping his arms around Keltar's thick neck. "Get off," Keltar bellowed. He reached back and grabbed Jimin by the shirt, then threw him across the circle like a doll. Jimin hit the mats and rolled. His left shoulder felt like it was on fire, but he got back to his feet. Blood ran from a cut on his forehead where he had hit the ground. "This is painful to watch," Mordan said to his fellow Vorthak cadets. "The human has no chance." But Kixara noticed something the others missed. "Look at his eyes," she said. "He's not afraid anymore." She was right. The initial fear in Jimin's dark eyes had been replaced by something else, a cold, calculating focus that made him look dangerous despite his small size. Keltar charged again, but this time Jimin was ready. Instead of dodging or running, he moved forward to meet the attack. At the last second, he dropped low and swept his leg at Keltar's ankles. The commander was moving too fast to stop. His feet tangled and he crashed to the mats face first. The entire gymnasium shook from the impact. Before Keltar could get up, Jimin was on him. He grabbed the commander's left arm and twisted it behind his back, pushing up toward the shoulder blade. It was an arm lock that Kim Taehyung had learned from studying human police techniques. Keltar roared in pain and rolled over, throwing Jimin off. But for the first time, the commander looked surprised, and maybe a little worried. "How do you know these techniques?" Keltar demanded as they circled each other. "I study," Jimin said, wiping blood from his mouth. "Remember?" This time Keltar was more careful. He approached slowly, keeping his guard up. When he threw a punch, Jimin didn't just dodge. He caught the arm and used Keltar's own momentum to throw him toward the barrier. The commander hit the energy field and bounced back, snarling with rage. "Impossible. You are too small to throw me. Size doesn't matter if you know how," Jimin replied. In the viewing area, the alien cadets were getting nervous. This wasn't going the way anyone expected. Keltar should have crushed the human in the first minute, but the fight had been going on for 5 minutes and Jimin was still standing. Dr. Yoon Seomin watched with professional interest. She could see what was happening even if the aliens couldn't. "His adrenaline is fully engaged now," she told the other humans. "He's not feeling the pain anymore." It was true. Jimin had taken several hits that should have broken bones, but he kept fighting like they were nothing. Every time Keltar knocked him down, he got back up. Every time the commander thought he had won, Jimin found a new way to attack. As the fight continued, Keltar began to tire. His breathing was heavy and his movements were getting slower. The Vorthak body was built for short, powerful bursts of activity, not long fights. But humans were different. Evolution had given them incredible endurance. Jimin's breathing was controlled and his movement stayed quick and precise. "What is wrong with this human?" Keltar gasped between attacks. "Why won't you stay down?" "Because I'm human," Jimin said simply. He began talking while they fought, using words as weapons just like his fists and feet. "You know what I learned about your empire, Keltar? Every time you lost a war, it was because you couldn't adapt. You kept doing the same things over and over. Shut up." Keltar swung wildly, but Jimin ducked under the punch and hit him in the ribs. "The Andromedan rebellion lasted 50 years because you kept trying to beat them with pure force. You never learned that they were fighting for their freedom, not for territory." Another wild swing, another miss. Jimin's counterattack hit Keltar in the stomach. The Zilithian trade wars went on for decades because you thought economic warfare was beneath warriors. You could have ended it in a year if you'd just learned to negotiate. Keltar was breathing hard now and sweat ran down his scaled face. His punches were slower and easier to avoid. "Even now you think this fight is about strength," Jimin continued. "But it's not. It's about adaptation. It's about learning. It's about refusing to give up." The commander threw a desperate haymaker that would have killed Jimin if it connected, but Jimin saw it coming from a mile away. He stepped inside the punch, grabbed Keltar's extended arm and used a judo throw to send the massive alien crashing to the mats. This time, Jimin didn't let him get up. He wrapped his arms around Keltar's neck from behind and squeezed. It was a sleeper hold, cutting off blood flow to the brain. Keltar thrashed and tried to reach back to grab Jimin, but the human held on tight. The commander's struggles got weaker and weaker. "Submit," Jimin said quietly. "Just say you submit and this ends." Keltar's pride wouldn't let him give up. He kept fighting even as his vision began to fade. But finally, with his oxygen running out and no way to escape, he tapped the mat 3 times. "I submit," he whispered. The gymnasium exploded in noise. Some aliens cheered, others sat in stunned silence. The human cadets jumped up and down, hardly believing what they had seen. Admiral Thexion stepped into the circle. "Winner, Cadet Park Jimin." Jimin released the hold and helped Keltar sit up. The commander was breathing hard but otherwise unharmed. He looked at the small human with something that might have been respect. "How?" Keltar asked. "I told you," Jimin said. "Humans don't give up. Ever." Across the galaxy, millions of beings had watched the fight. Many were already changing their opinions about humanity. The small, weak species that everyone had dismissed had just proven they were far more dangerous than anyone imagined. Earth's children had shown the galaxy something new. They had shown them that sometimes the greatest strength comes not from size or power, but from the simple refusal to quit. The gymnasium stayed loud for several minutes after the fight ended. Alien cadets argued in dozens of languages while human cadets hugged each other and cried with relief. Some beings just sat quietly, trying to understand what they had witnessed. Jimin helped Commander Keltar to his feet. The big Vorthak was steady but moved slowly. Still recovering from the sleeper hold, he looked down at the small human who had defeated him. "You fought with honor," Keltar said finally. "I was wrong about your species." "Thank you, Commander," Jimin replied. "You're a good fighter too." "I got lucky." Keltar shook his massive head. "No, luck had nothing to do with it. You prepared better. You adapted during the fight. You used my own strength against me." He paused. "These are the qualities of a true warrior." Dr. Yoon Seoman rushed onto the mats to check Jimin for injuries. His left shoulder was badly bruised, his ribs ached, and he had cuts on his face and hands. But nothing was broken. "You need to rest," she told him. "Your body has been through a lot." "I feel fine," Jimin said, though he was starting to feel tired as the adrenaline wore off. "That's the endorphins talking." "In a few hours you're going to hurt everywhere." Admiral Thexion approached them, his crystal body flashing with different colors. "Cadet Park, that was unexpected. I've never seen anything quite like it." "Sir, I just did what I had to do," Jimin said. "Yes, and that's exactly what worries me," the Admiral replied. "Word of this fight is already spreading across the galaxy. I've received messages from military leaders, politicians, even royalty. Everyone wants to know more about human capabilities." That evening, the alien cadets treated the humans differently. Instead of sitting at separate tables in the dining hall, many aliens came over to ask questions about Earth and human culture. Morden sat across from Jimin, his orange eyes curious. "I don't understand something," he said. "Why didn't you give up when Commander Keltar hit you the first time? In Vorthak culture, that would have been the honorable thing to do. In human culture, giving up isn't honorable unless you have no other choice," Jimin explained. "We believe that as long as you can still fight, you should keep fighting." "But why?" asked Kixara, her crystal body flashing purple with confusion. "You were clearly outmatched. Logic said you would lose." "Maybe," Jimin said. "But humans learned a long time ago that logic doesn't always tell the whole story. Sometimes the impossible happens if you don't give up." Zilneth floated over to their table, his large black eyes thoughtful. "On my world, we study conflict resolution. We believe that violence always has a cost that's higher than any benefit. But watching your fight, I'm beginning to think we may be wrong about some things." "Violence should always be the last choice," Jimin said. "But sometimes it's the only choice that will work." News of the fight reached Earth within hours. Jimin's parents watched the recording in their small apartment in Seoul, hardly believing their son had fought and defeated an alien warrior twice his size. "I can't believe he did that," his mother said, tears in her eyes. "He could have been killed." "But he wasn't," his father replied proudly. "And now the whole galaxy knows that humans are not to be underestimated." On military bases around Earth, officers studied the fight recording frame by frame. General Kim Sun-ho of the Korean Space Force called an emergency meeting. "This changes everything," he told his staff. "Until now, the aliens saw us as junior partners at best. But this boy just proved that human tactics and determination can overcome superior physical strength." "What does this mean for our position in the United Worlds?" asked Colonel Lee Minji. "It means we're not going to be the weak little brothers anymore," the general said. "Other species are going to start taking us seriously as military allies." He was right. Within days, requests began pouring in from alien governments. The Andromedans, who had always been peaceful, wanted human military advisors to help them design better defenses. The Zilithians requested human officers to train their forces in adaptive tactics. Even some Vorthak worlds asked for meetings with Earth's military leaders. At the Academy, changes came quickly. Admiral Thexion announced new training programs that would include combat techniques from all species, not just the traditional Vorthak methods. "We have learned something important," the Admiral said in his address to all cadets. "Each species brings unique strengths to our alliance. It is time we started using all of them." Commander Keltar, despite his defeat, was put in charge of developing the new integrated training program. His first assistant was a human, Instructor Park Subin, a martial arts expert brought from Earth. "I want to learn these human fighting techniques," Keltar told her during their first meeting. "If we're going to train warriors for the United Worlds fleet, they need to know how to fight like humans as well as like Vorthak." The social changes were just as dramatic. Alien cadets who had ignored or looked down on humans now sought them out as study partners and friends. Human tactical thinking became popular in strategy classes. Jimin found himself at the center of it all. Alien cadets constantly asked him questions about human culture, Earth's history, and fighting techniques. Some even asked him to teach them. "I'm not a teacher," he told Kim Tae-hyung one evening as they walked through the academy corridors. "I'm just a cadet like everyone else." "Not anymore," Tae-hyung said. "Whether you wanted it or not, you've become a symbol. You proved that humans belong here." "No," Jimin said thoughtfully. "I proved that humans are different than everyone thought. But we always belonged here. We just had to show them." 3 weeks after the fight, Jimin received a message from Earth. It was from his grandfather, the Korean War veteran who had held the hill for 3 days against impossible odds. "My grandson," the message said, "I watched your fight with pride. You did something I never could. You showed the universe what Korean determination looks like. But more than that, you showed them what human determination looks like. Your grandmother and I are proud of you." Jimin read the message 3 times, then put it away carefully. Outside his window, the 3 moons of Kepler-7 hung in the dark sky. Somewhere beyond them, Earth waited with its billions of humans, all of them a little more respected now because of what had happened in a gymnasium on a distant moon. In the Academy cafeteria, humans and aliens sat together at the same tables. Vorthak cadets practiced human martial arts techniques. Andromedan students studied Earth's military history. Zilithian researchers analyzed human psychology to understand their incredible persistence. The galaxy was learning that strength came in many forms. Physical power was just one kind. The strength to keep going when everything seemed hopeless. The strength to adapt and learn. The strength to stand up for what you believed in. These were the kinds of strength that humans brought to the galactic community. Commander Keltar found Jimin in the observation deck one evening, looking out at the stars. The big Vorthak sat down carefully beside the small human. "I've been thinking about our fight," Keltar said. "Yes, sir." "I fought you the way I fight everyone, with strength and direct attacks. But you fought me the way humans fight everything, by refusing to accept that you were beaten." Jimin nodded. "That's pretty much it. Your species is going to change the galaxy," Keltar said. "Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but eventually. Because you never give up and you're always learning." "We're not trying to change anything," Jimin said. "We're just trying to do our best." "That's exactly what I mean," Keltar replied. "You don't even realize how dangerous that makes you." As the months passed, more humans joined the academy. Each one brought new ideas, new techniques, new ways of thinking about old problems. The galaxy was becoming a more interesting place. And in a small apartment in Seoul, 2 parents watched the stars and knew their son was out there somewhere, making humanity proud and showing the universe that sometimes the smallest people could cast the biggest shadows. The fight was over, but its effects would last for generations. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through superior technology or overwhelming strength, but through the simple refusal to give up when things got hard. It was the most human thing of all.